Welcome to the Gorgeous Gray podcast. I am Nicole Scott, your host, registered holistic nutritionist, rest mindset coach, author of the Gorgeous Gray movement, and the co-creator of the Menopause Reset program. In this podcast, we have real conversations about aging as a woman and all the pressure and uncertainty we feel as we head into menopause and beyond. Let's face it, aging is not an easy conversation to have, but I say it's time to talk about the messy middle and offer hope when we feel like giving up on ourselves. Let's talk about our fears around gray hair, our muffin tops, and even our dry, itchy vaginas and everything in between. I will help you reconnect to your feminine energy and offer real solutions from experts in their field to navigate aging as a woman. I believe we, as women, deserve to shine even brighter in this next chapter of life. So with a sense of humor and a lot of compassion, let's dive into these vulnerable conversations. Hello, beautiful, gorgeous, gray viewers, listeners. It's Nicole Scott here for another episode with Selena Ella Moon. Thank you, my dear, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting to connect with you, and I've been looking forward to today for so many days.
It's so great. So first off, I'm going to let you know what this episode is about. So for the viewers that are going to watch this on YouTube, you will see that, yes, Selena has her wisdom grays coming in, long, beautiful. We're going to have a short conversation about that transition and what that was like for her and how it kind of is part of her brand and who she is. But I really have a calling to go into a conversation today about higher consciousness and spirituality, because in my book that I wrote like 4 years ago, my last chapter was all about my spiritual journey.
Wow.
And all of the light workers that showed up at the right time in the right season to grab my hand and show me the next. And then Selena shows up in my world and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So Selena, thank you for being here. She's like literally coming from the north, I think, of Ontario, driving to Toronto. She's on a bus with her new husband. So she's newly married. And there's a whole story there.
Whole story there.
Whole story there. Her husband is Guillaume. I will put all the information in all of the show notes so that you can follow this beautiful couple, because they are going to be doing some pretty magical things. They already are in this world. But I'm going to tell you the story of how we met. So
it's a great story.
I don't know, a month or so ago, my mom,
I would say so,
Janice Nigam, she starts telling me about this guy that is on a bike traveling across Canada, spreading his love. And my mom, she's such a hippie and I just love her. And she's just like, I don't know. She just always connects to people heart to heart. And she's like, oh, we're talking to him. He's like my brother, or like a brother's son, maybe son energy, buys his book. And she's like talking to me about it. But I never made that next step to like, who is this person? Because my mind, I have a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff. But then Selena shows up in my social and I start talking to her. Of course, her gray hair, whenever I see a woman with gray hair, I stop. I'm like, who is this woman? Then I started to see she's a new earth teacher. She's a mentor. She's a facilitator for leaders and light workers aligning to their soul path. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to meet this woman. We start talking. And then she starts talking about this like new relationship, husband. He's on a bike across Canada. I'm like, wonder if this is the same guy my mom is speaking to. And sure enough, it is. So
it's such a crazy synchronicity.
Synchronicity. When you pay attention, those little clues are always there.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that in a bit. But Selena, let's talk about you. This is all going to be about you. Like, okay. So let's talk about this gray hair first. Because, you know, the women that are listening are usually like gray hair fans and they want to know more about the story.
Well, you know what? The gray hair story is very connected to my spiritual channeling story for me personally, because when I started getting gray hairs was when I started doing a lot of work around meditation. The most gray hair I ever just burst into was a year where I spent almost 3 hours a year meditating. And in that year, I learned that I could open up my channels and I could actually, because I had been trained in modalities to do healing work and teach certain things. And I was studying psychosomatic therapy and NLP and things like that. But when I started going deep into my meditations, I started opening up my channel and suddenly my hair started going gray and I could just pick up information super fast. And it was very, very connected to that particular year where that happened. I think it was, I mean, I already had a few gray hairs growing, but it was around like 2016 where I went really deep into my spirituality that my hair started turning like, and actually people say that there's a difference between gray hair and silver hair. And so someone came up to me once and said, I just want you to know, like, your hair isn't gray, it's silver, because it's got little shiny silver, it looks like shiny silver streaks rather than gray like other people have. And I was like, I never thought about that before. Like, I never even paid attention to see if, some people had, I could tell people had white hairs that are going more whitish. And then there's people that go more gray and then people that go more silver. So I guess the silver one's more associated with doing that channeling work that I was doing.
That is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
That is new information for me. So
yeah, I thought it was super cool too. Yeah, it was
crazy.
super cool. Yeah. So
I'm gonna have to follow my path of when I started to really go deep and like a very similar color of the silvery white stuff kind of coming through on the back. So that's pretty cool. I love that story.
Yeah. So it happened in my early 30s. Yeah.
Oh, early 30s. Okay.
Even late 20s, early 30s, like that's kind of when it started. And there was a lot of pressure to diet, obviously, family members and whatnot. And I would meditate on it and I would just ask questions because once I opened up my channels, I got really good at asking questions and getting answers very clearly. Now that's kind of increased and decreased over the years in terms of my abilities because I've had lessons to learn it by not knowing things. And I've had to be humbled in many cases as well to realize that I don't have all the answers all the time. And that was part of my journey. But part of the meditation that I did on it was like, why do I have this? Like, why is this actually, helping me on my journey and my path? Like, what significance does my hair have? Because I really believe that the way that we appear physically has a very spiritual significance, right? The way we look really affects the way that we're treated. It affects the way that people respond to us. It affects the way that the world views us. And I think that those things are very significant because they impact our everyday experience and the way that we live our lives. That for me, like the gray hair was part of that. And so everywhere I would go, people would stop me and they would ask me about my hair. And it became a very common thing where I just go to a grocery store and almost like every day I'd be experiencing a new conversation with someone. And so I was very curious about this because I was like, this feels like it's like a conversation starter to like connect with people and like just, really, really learn how other people see it. And what I got in my meditation was that the people that I meant to serve and the people that I meant to share my light with, they're going to have a vision of me with this hair before they meet me. So when they meet me, they're going to know it's me from their dream or their vision that they had. And they're going to want to connect with me, even if they don't remember it consciously. So it's kind of like an indicator. It's acting as an indicator to connect with, for people to be drawn into my energy, who I'm supposed to just say a nice word to or potentially, work with in a deeper way. But it's always very meaningful in the way that it happens. And so I've been paying more attention to that and really just appreciating it at a deeper level.
That is incredible. I was like literally getting goosebumps all over as you were sharing that story. I was like, wow, that is so cool, the connection. So this podcast is all about having real conversations of the woman that is aging. And we start to age when we are born, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're working on a whole other level, with the human race when it comes to attracting light workers and taking them to a whole new level. What can you say about the woman who is aging that maybe isn't so connected or disconnected and feeling a little lost about what her next move would be? What would you say to that woman?
Yeah, so I actually I don't relate to aging in a very typical way just because of a lot of the things that I've studied and a lot of what I've heard. From the biggest thing that I've learned is that every time our DNA replicates, what happens is that's what creates the aging process, because our telomeres get a little bit shorter and shorter and shorter in every replication. And the reason that they get shorter is because of just that is, I guess, the natural biological cycle. However, when you start doing more inner work and you start going into your spiritual energy and you start going in deeper and deeper into your soul work, the telomeres stop shrinking. So even though it may appear that, our hair is a sign of age, it might not necessarily be that. It might be something along the lines of like, okay, maybe biologically we're not aging as much, but maybe we're just becoming more connected. And so I have a lot of speculations around the notion of aging. I think that a lot of us have put ourselves in a box around what we believe is limiting us based on our age. And I do believe that it's possible to reverse age. I've seen a lot of people in my network just change their diet or just go into a different environment, get out of a toxic relationship. I've seen people switch jobs and all of a sudden they look 10 years younger. I've seen people just decide that they no longer want to eat out like junk food anymore, and then suddenly they start looking younger. I've had people just start meditating every day and then all of a sudden they look younger. So I don't really feel like aging is a thing that we even need to really consider personally. I think it slows us down to even because as I age, I actually become more immature. I feel like my husband and I have a YouTube channel. We literally call it Honey Poo and Boo. Like that says it all, right? Like we're both like in our late 30s and we're calling ourselves publicly on a YouTube channel Honey Poo and Boo. And it's like that's the beauty of just going back to our childlike innocence. It's like it no longer has to be about claiming adulthood. It's like returning to purity and innocence. And however that looks for whoever it is, I think it's just beautiful to accept it and embrace it. And that's going to look different for everybody,
That reminds me of a movie. Wasn't there a movie out there? Is like they were born old and then they reversed and went. I think they're
like Benjamin Button or something like that.
Right,
Yeah,
kind of
Benjamin
that concept,
Button.
right? Well, it's interesting that you say that about aging, because when I look back, and I was just about ready to do this reel about show your younger self, and then and I look back, 10 plus years when I was, not in a healthy marriage, I was drinking too much, I was probably depressed, I was overweight, and I looked at that girl, that young 30-some girl, and I was like, oh my gosh, does she ever look old, like old, like it's almost like disconnected, I guess would be the word, because I wasn't connected to my purpose. I wasn't connected to my spirituality. I wasn't doing like the daily connections to divine and gratitude. And so when I look at myself today at the almost 53-year-old that I am today, looking back to some of my pictures in my 30s, I look younger, I feel younger, I act younger. As my girls, my adult girls are like, you're so embarrassing, Mom, because I called it like it is. And, if we're going to talk about sex, let's talk about sex. I don't need to, Mom. They're like, Mom, I don't need to know about your dry, you know what? I said, I'm just preparing you for what's potentially to come, and I'll give you solutions.
That's great.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the work that you are doing right now, you and your husband. It's incredible. So do you have a little bit of time to talk about some of the work that you want to spread around the world?
Definitely. Yeah. So it's interesting because we were both nomads. My husband's been traveling around on a bicycle, obviously in a very, very adventurous way. And he's been doing it without money. He's just been doing it on trust. And, of course he makes book sales and things like that, but just so much love in his heart that gets spread everywhere he goes. He just continuously asks the creator every day, show me where to spread my love, show me where to spread my light. And he's ended up in multiple different indigenous communities and things like that. And just formed a lot of really beautiful connections and really lifted a lot of souls. And so his journey has been very much like on the road in that way. Whereas I'm kind of the diva, right? Like, so I have been on the road for, I've been on the road for about 5 years. I did take a year off to spend with my family, but I've been doing it out of a car and Airbnb, which is obviously like a lot more it's a lot different. And part of my journey was actually when I was doing it, I wasn't doing it so much for humanity because I had done so much for humanity before. I'd done like I overdid it. Like I put out so many workshops and I put out so many different events and I put out so much healing for people that I depleted my energy. So I was still traveling like a nomad, but what I was doing was I was actually doing a lot of inner work on myself. And I had a healer that I worked with. I even took a year off my own business and just took that year to completely go back and replenish my own energy, because I had so many like attachments to people and old clients and stories and things that I hadn't worked through, because I'd been working with so many people at such a deep level that I didn't take the time to really acknowledge the things that were coming up in me as I was dealing with these people. So my journey was kind of in the last couple of years more internal, but it's really interesting now, because now that, you know, Guillaume and I are coming together, we're actually heading to New York, and we're going to get a van there. And so I'm going to be doing more of the van life now. So it's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to follow him on his bicycle, right? And wherever he stops is wherever I'll park the van. And I'll just basically be running my business out of there. And together we want to bring our love to people in more physical ways, while I'm running the backside of my business in the van. Basically, I had to make sure that I had all the, the right internet connections and data set up to be able to do that. So it's been a journey. But yeah, that's kind of, so I'm going more into the wilderness now with it. I'm sure there'll still be some, you know, Airbnbs along the way, but we're planning on journeying up to Yukon, and then we're going to come all the way down through America, and then we're going to go to South America. So, and our plan is to spread peace between all nations in the way that God tells us to every day, from moment to moment.
So amazing, like goosebump moment. I know you have quite a story about how the two of you met. Like tell us. Like I've been following and I'm putting it together and watching some of your, like, who does your YouTube videos? Because I'm like, how do they do that? I'm like, are they professionals?
You wouldn't believe it, but like Guillaume's an expert at doing these videos. Like he'll just film a video, and the next thing I know, he's just like editing it on some app, and he's studying all these YouTube channels on how to help your YouTube channel, and he's figuring out the thumbnails, and he's doing the captions, and he's like on fire with it. Like he's sitting next to me a little bit away, probably doing that right now. So like he's just really passionate about it. So it's just turned into something that's been really fun for us. And we do want to spread our silliness and our childlike love across the internet, because it's really unusual. And we call ourselves the unrelatable couple because of the things that we say and do. But it's, you know, it's been crazy, because we did meet through Facebook, and I was following his blog and I was commenting on his blog, and I was just so amazed by him and what he was doing. And then one day he just reached out to me and he said, hey, like, let's just have a private chat. And I was like, sure, why not? You know, and so we started talking, and the messages were just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like we were having 6 conversations at once, like different topics, and just firing back and forth. And it was like, what is this? This is crazy. Like, how do we have so much in common? And then I remembered, like, wow, I've been on this mission for like the last couple of years to just go internal. And I think the thing that really just like got me really, I guess, excited about Guillaume was that he was doing the external stuff, right? And that's the stuff I used to do. I used to do it in a really external way, but I needed to heal. And when I connected with him, he re-inspired me. It kind of was like the divine saying, like, hey, time for you to go back out in the world now. Your healing journey's never done, but at least you've healed enough to be able to go more public. So part of the journey with Guillaume now is coming back out into the public after deleting like 4,000 people off my Facebook and stopping all my retreats and stopping all my events. And now it's coming out into this new energy where I've just been focusing more on building stuff online and doing coaching and groups online. And then also now partnering with Guillaume, it's like it's giving me an opportunity to serve in community where it feels and is right for me to do so.
Wow.
So yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And like within like 3 days we knew, like maybe not even 3 days, like within like a day or two we knew, because we had a mutual friend that is deceased on the other side. And my mutual friend always used to say to me, remember, you need to travel the world and you need to bring your wisdom and your light to the world in different places. And he used to say that all the time, like, you need to go global. He used to come to all my workshops. Little did I know that Guillaume he's had the same friend, right? That he was also friends with him. And somehow Guillaume goes into this meditation chamber the night that we met. So we met online. He goes into a meditation chamber. He's in like Sault Ste. Marie. And he comes out of the meditation and he's like, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I had a vision that we were traveling around the world and speaking from community to community. I said, that's crazy, because that's Wayne. That's what my friend Wayne said. He's like, you know Wayne? I was like, you know Wayne? And we were just like, Wayne brought us together. He's our angel, you know?
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, it was just so amazing. It felt like his soul just like brought us together, because exactly the way he said it was the way Wayne used to say that to me. And no one's ever said that to me the way Wayne did. No one was ever so adamant about it. No one was ever channeling in such a strong frequency around that for me, because I did so much channeling for other people about their purpose and their path. It was like really a blessing when Wayne would say it to me, because sometimes it's nice to hear things externally, even if you feel it in your heart, right?
Yeah.
So I said, Guillaume, like, yes, I want to do that with you. And that's how it started. Like the next day we were practically engaged. And then I drove over 16 hours to go see him in Wawa, Ontario. I was in the village of Montgomery, New York State. And my car broke down when I got there and hasn't restarted, which is why we're on a bus right now.
Wow. What a
So,
crazy journey. And I think I saw something on your social that you met someone to partner you up with a van and a kind of almost like a sponsorship, which I was like,
yeah,
that
it's
is
actually my
so
business.
cool.
Yeah, it's actually my business and my business partner. So it's my business partner who's sponsoring us with the van, which is really sweet. And so he's got it. He just was like, I got an extra van. And we're like, hey, we're ready for an adventure. So we're just going to head over to New York and we're going to get the van. And Guillaume's got some connections maybe through Broadway. So we might go to Broadway and we don't know. Like we were laughing on our way over. We're like, we could end up in Africa after this for all we know. Like we really don't know what's going to happen.
Oh my goodness, that is
Yeah.
incredible. So
Yeah.
why do you think so many people are not connected to that higher
Mm.
source?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of unlearning of what we think we need to be and who we think we should be. A lot of it comes from our parental upbringing and societal upbringing. I was brought up in a religion, so I had a lot of deprogramming to do because the religion made me feel like I couldn't do the things I wanted to, because religion was very adamant about people being in sciences and people being lawyers and doctors and engineers with their careers. And I was more creative and artistic, and I liked theater and things like that, and healing, but not doctor type healing, not Western medicine healing. I really like the energy stuff. So I feel like, it's really, really important that we take some time to dissect ourselves and really ask ourselves, like, what am I doing just because someone else once upon a time told me to do it, or is still telling me to do it on some level? And then to cleanse ourselves and purify ourselves of that is what will amplify our connection. Because I don't think any of us actually lacks a connection. I just think that it's kind of just been tampered with, and it's become diluted, if we can say it that way, because of all the noise and all the excess just words and stimuli that we're constantly surrounded by. And as long as we go out into nature, we connect with the elements, we connect with through meditation, we connect through love, we connect with even children and animals, we can get a lot of return to heart experiences that then help us to remember who we are, remember why we're here, remember why we came, and allow us to really just follow that voice instead of the voice that says you should da 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 da, because that should is what gets in the way.
That would bring a lot more love and peace, I think, to the world if we had more people following their heart versus walking around going, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, right? And then they just
Yeah.
go into that, I'm doing it because so and so said, as I think is what you're kind of saying, right? The more, can you give
Yeah.
some tips on someone that has heard about meditation, tried
Sure.
meditation, but they can't get out of their head? How do they get over that?
Get into your
That.
body. Yeah. If you can't get out of your head, then first step is to get into your body. Because usually I find that when people are stuck in their head, when they start moving their body, it actually gets their heart rate going. And when you get your heart rate going, it actually does help to connect the heart to the mind to the body at a more higher frequency. And so if you're having a hard time meditating, just start by like doing a focused intentional walk or a focused intentional run or even a focused intentional workout, right? And I think from that space, if you can just stay in that space of I'm just going to focus. And when I say focus, I just mean like focus on one thing the entire time. Don't like play a bunch of music. Don't like try to distract yourself with a bunch of thoughts while you're doing it. Like just really just focus on, for example, love, focus on gratitude, focus on joy, focus on wealth and abundance, focus on peace, whatever it is that you want to focus on. Just choose one thing. And if you can get to a point where while you're moving, you're focusing on that one thing, over time, it'll actually be a natural way of life. You won't even need to meditate anymore. It'll just be part of the way you exist. And I think just doing that over and over and over and over and over again is what creates a master, right?
Yeah.
And so I think some of us who are light workers, we just want to create self-mastery, because we know that when we're self-mastered, we don't have to do much for humanity. We literally just be who we are, and humanity benefits through witnessing us, right? It's less about effort and like sacrificing and like sabotaging ourselves. And it's more about like just broadcasting our light from within and being able to just shine our light without needing to coach so much or advise so much or like just always try to save people or rescue people so much. It's more just be in your light and lead with your heart. And when people see you, that's where they're going to be like, wow, I want that. And that's kind of why our YouTube channel is so silly, because people are like, that's not you. Like, you never put out stuff in that way. And I'm like, it's because I put out enough of teaching and depth in my online work, right? Like I get enough of that teaching experience and facilitating experiences that in my personal life, I want to just show you how I live it. And this is just how I live it. It just literally looks ridiculous every day. And it's really light. It's not that heavy, And so that's where the two come together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I do kind of like walking meditation every day. Sometimes I get a little distracted, but it's so funny because the universe will literally shut my phone down. They'll be like, okay, it's time. Yeah, it'll just do random. It will totally shut off, or it will like beep out. And I'm like, okay, get off your phone, get connected, focus. Oh my gosh, there's a cardinal. That's amazing. Oh, there's some money on the ground. And oh my gosh, there's a friend I haven't seen in 4 months, big hug. I'm going to, like it's when you are in the slowdown, when you are in, that's where I find the magic happens, right? When I'm like, I don't know about you, but there's something about water when I'm in the shower and the water is pouring over me. And my partner, Brad, we've been together for 6 years. He'll be like, are you getting out of the shower anytime soon? And I'm like, give me 5 more minutes. I got some really good stuff going on in here. And he's
it's
like,
amazing,
you're so
isn't it?
weird. You are so weird.
Funny.
But I'm like, that's oftentimes where I get a lot of nudges, messages, giggles, like, oh my God, you really want me to do that now? And how do you manage? Because I find, as a light worker, as a connector, as a Reiki master, that I can pull in a lot.
Yeah.
And it can get overwhelming because I want to serve. I want to serve because I know I'm here to serve on a bigger scale, just like you are. Yeah. And I'm learning. And one of my weak points in my body is adrenal fatigue and adrenal burnout. Yeah. And it's trying to find the balance. And I talk a lot to my menopausal women about this, but what have been some of your secrets to kind of protect yourself from not being so darn burnt out, but you want to serve another client or create another workshop or be another chapter in a book? Because that's what will keep on coming. And I don't know if the universe is just teasing me with my boundaries to say, no, but I want to say, yes.
Well, you kind of just said actually exactly what I was going to say, which is just saying no. I feel like when you become open, you get a lot of information, and that information comes in streams of consciousness based on when you're relaxed and when you are available to receive them. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the moment that you have to create that thing. It's more just a seed that's meant to be planted. And if it's not embodied, if it doesn't feel like it's activating or inspiring you and invigorating you in your physical body, I find then that's how I know it's not the right time to do that. I'll write it down somewhere and I'll say, that's going to come in the future, right? It's like, I had to take 2 years off just to go back into myself. And as much as I wanted to say yes to everything, because that's what I was used to doing, I was getting a lot of like ego validation off of it too. And I have to take a step back and ask myself, why is my ego getting validated from service? Like there's a trauma there. There's something there that's causing me to do that, which is why I'm not saying no, which is why I'm in the position where I have to take 2 years off. Right. So I believe that sometimes our ego wants validation for service. and we want to feel like people want us or need us, and that doesn't come from a place of light, that comes from a place of darkness. So I feel like confronting those parts of ourselves and asking ourselves, well, why does it matter if I'm in service or not? You know, why does it really matter so much? Because is my breath not enough? Like, if I'm carrying light in my heart and my soul, and I understand how energy works, I know that I have a radius and electromagnetic field around my heart. And I know that the more that I bring love into my heart, the further that electromagnetic field will spread around me. So, which means I don't need to talk to my neighbors. They're going to feel my love. I don't need to connect with the dogs in the park across from me. They're going to feel my love. I don't need to actually do so much as I need to just be. And what I realized was, like, when I allowed myself to be more and do less, it got lighter. The feelings got lighter, and I didn't exhaust myself anymore. And I realized that I really just was coming from a place of wanting so bad to be loved. And that was how I felt like people loved me, was by validating my gifts, which is why I gave you a little snippet of this, but which is why some of my gifts were removed from me for a little while, because it was my divine lesson to learn that I cannot rely on those gifts to feel good about myself. And so it was a very huge transformation I had to go through to take a step back from my light work and realize I'm still a light even when I'm not working. So that's my 2 cents about that.
Yes, I mean, that just lands for me on so many levels. This week when I was on a conference call, a mentor of mine, Samantha Gladish, texted me and said, "Hey, were you serious about doing those psychedelic mushroom retreat?" And I had responded like maybe like a month ago, and I was like, why is she reaching out to me in the evening? Because she's like, the deadline was, and I sat with it internally. And for so many years, I have been so scared to go down that path of psychedelics and mushrooms and, you know, stuff. But my mom, let me tell you, does my mom have stories? And I always would say, I'll just live vicariously through my mom, right? Ecuador retreats, my dad and her, and like stories of just like, we'll have to share them privately one day, because I was like, you're my hero, mom. You're so brave. And anyways, I want to share with you that I'm doing something that feels like the right season. So June 1st, I'm going up to Northern Ontario with only 8 women, a facilitator, and then another lady. And we're going to go there. And I can't wait to talk about it on my podcast. Now, I'm sure that you have gone there to the like psychedelic and the mushrooms in regards to spirituality. Do you want to just comment a few words on that?
I'll be honest, the first time I did it, I didn't do it with consciousness and a spiritual approach. I did it because I was in my early 20s and I was peer pressure, and I was on the red light district in Amsterdam, and it was a very bad experience. That was my first time doing mushrooms. And after that, I said to myself, you know, I don't want to go down this route unless I'm guided. And I wasn't really guided until many years later. And I did sort of do it in a more healing way. And I learned I had a big breakthrough about how I was holding myself back with respect to like wanting to express myself through dance and sexuality more. And I was really repressing that part of me. And so it helped me in that way. But then as I continued to do my healing work, I felt like I didn't really need it anymore. Like I got to a point where I could experience a hallucination or have a mushroom trip without taking anything. And then I did a test on myself I think it was October or September, to see what would happen if I took mushrooms after all the 2 years of healing work I did. No effect whatsoever.
I've heard that from other people where they just like nothing. So it'll be interesting to see, because I have tuned in over the years, because I have some friends in the circle that go, and I've been invited over and over again. And my answers internally were like, maybe there was a little bit of fear, you know, we can play tricks on ourselves, but that I had been doing so much that I'm like, I don't think I need it. Like, I feel like I'm on the right path, and I'm slaying my dragons, and I'm doing trauma work, and I keep on doing the work. But anyways, I'm like, okay, I just got to go see what this is all about. And to see if there will be any, or if I have done enough of the work for it to be neutral. So I'm excited. I'll let you know how it goes.
Let me know. It'll be really interesting to see. And sometimes it's just also recognizing that we don't actually need the substance to experience the medicine of the substance. Like, same with me and ayahuasca. I talked to her. She's just a spirit to me. And I'm like, ayahuasca, do you want me to take you? And she's like, nope, we're good here. Okay, call me when you think it's my time, because it seems to be a fad out in humanity right now, and I'm not really sure, if I'm resonating. And so I connect to the spirit of it, and I ask the spirit, is this for me? And I connect it with my body, and if I get a yes, I'll do it. If I get a no, I won't.
Love it.
Yeah.
We're going to close off here because we're sitting here, and I know you got to get on a bus with your, I'm going to say your newlyweds. Your newlyweds. It's so fun. And
it's so fun.
What's your last message that you want to share to the woman that will be listening in regards to wanting to live their life in a more conscious way?
Yeah, I'll just say, like, you're not old, you're not young, you're a soul, and you are very much loved. And if you give yourself a chance to return back to your innocence and your purity, you will experience pure joy and bliss for however many days of your life that you have. We never know, right? We never know how many days we have left, but the beauty is that we're really everlasting, and everything that we do here, every experience, goes with us for eternity. So why not make the most of it?
Where can they follow you on your journey?
Yeah, you can check me out at my Facebook, Selena Ella Moon. If you want to see me, I'm on Instagram as well, Selena Ella Moon. And we have our YouTube channel, Honey, Poo, and Boo. Or if you want to email me, it's the SelenaMoonProject@gmail.com.
Amazing. Well, I know that our paths will meet physically
I look
on
forward
this
to that.
globe, and I can't wait to see you. I will be following you guys around the globe. Thank you so much for spreading love and peace and kindness and being the light that the world needs to see right now. I'm cheering from afar.
Thank you so much. And to you as well. Thank you for doing these podcasts and helping so many people. And I'm sending you lots of love. And thanks for having me here. It's been fun.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If this message landed for you, make sure to leave a review and tag me, Nicole Scott, at Gorgeous Gray Movement, and make sure to share with your friends. You can head over to my free Facebook community, Gorgeous Gray Movement, or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring interviews. If you are still struggling and need additional support, you can take a look at my website, nicolescott.ca, and learn more about my new Menopause Reset program that I'm so excited for. Until next time, ladies, be well and own your sparkle.